Hey guys, welcome to your order of operations and evaluating video. Today we're just going to do a quick review of the order of operations and how to evaluate an expression. Okay, so we're going to start here with order of operations. Some of you call it please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS, and just a quick reminder of what all of those things are. So the P is obviously parentheses. And remember, when you're solving an order of operations problem or solving any problem, you have to go in this order. So you always start with anything that's in parentheses if there is something in parentheses. So solve this first. Okay. Then you move on to E, which is the exponents. Now in Math 1, you didn't really deal with exponents all that often. You will deal with them a lot in the first unit that we cover and as we move forward in Math 2. M and D stand for multiply and divide, and A and S are add and subtract, so those are the last things you do. If you notice, I wrote them side by side, MD and AS, instead of in order, and that is because I want to remind you that the M doesn't come before the D because you're supposed to do multiplication before division. If for both of these here, if both occur in the same problem, then you just go left to right. Okay, let me show you an example. Okay, so I'm going to move on down to the practice problems. So my very first practice problem here, I have division and multiplication in the same problem. Now that does not mean that I do the multiplication first. I have to do the division first because it happens first in the problem. So I'm going to start with this first. So 26 divided by 2 is 13. Then I'm going to leave minus 3 times 5. Remember that little dot in there, that is a multiplication sign. I would suggest using that so you don't get it mixed up with a variable x. Okay. Next would be the multiplication. It's up to you whether you do negative 3 times 5 or just 3 times 5. But either way, you should know that this will stay subtraction. Like, it'll either be 13 minus something or 13 negative something. You're still subtracting something. And 3 times 5, that's obviously multiplication. That's 15. 13 minus 15 is negative 2. Let's move on to practice problem 2. The first thing I have to deal with is actually this parenthesis. So even though it's addition, which would be lowest on the totem pole, that is what I have to deal with first. So I'm going to bring down my 4 squared, my subtraction sign, but I know that 1 plus 3 is now 4 times 7. Okay. I did parentheses. Now I need to tackle this exponent. Remember, an exponent means that number times itself however many times. So this means 4 times itself twice. So 4 times 4 is 16 minus 4 times 7. Okay. And again, I have to do multiplication first. 4 times 7 is 28. So I'm going to have 16 minus 28. I'm going to end up with a negative number again. And that's going to be negative 12. All right. And let's quickly talk about evaluating expressions. Okay. Quick refresher, the word evaluate is basically a fancier version of the word solve or simplify. Okay. Basically, we're saying, all right, we have these statements that have some variables. We are going to plug in these values for the variables and simplify. Can we get it down to one number or a few or fewer numbers at least? Okay. So step 1, we're going to replace the variables with their values. And step 2 is just to simplify or solve. So number 1 here, I have 2a plus c, and up here they tell me that a is 2 and c is 4. So I'm going to write 2, and then in place of a, in a parenthesis, I'm going to put another 2, because that's what a equaled, plus c, which is 4. And now it becomes an order of operations problem. So I have to do multiplying first. 2 times 2 is 4, plus this other 4 is 8. Problem 2, 6ab minus 4c. So again, I'm just going to start by replacing all of my variables with their values. So a is 2, b is negative 1, and c was 4. I'm going to do my multiplications first, and I will subtract them. So 6 times 2 is 12, but times a negative 1 makes it negative 12. Minus 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, so I'm already have a negative number, and then I'm subtracting. So I am really getting more negative. It's like you borrowed $12 from your friend, and then you borrowed another 16. So now, altogether, you owe them $24. All right, that was our little refresher on order of operations and evaluating.